All right, good morning. It is Thursday, January 9th, coming up on 9 o'clock here. We are going to try to give you the most, or I'm going to try to give you the most detailed look at what I think is going to happen on Friday. So let's dive in. Here's a look at the watches and warnings. And these say current. These essentially go into effect overnight into Friday. You have a winter storm warning in place for the areas in pink. You have a winter weather advisory for those areas in that kind of purpley blue, and then a winter storm watch for North Georgia. Okay, what this tells you, we got the potential for wintry weather just about everywhere. Now, if you're not included in this watch, it doesn't mean you won't see winter weather, but the odds of your impacts, meaning travel, meaning higher accumulations, issues like that, power outages, roadways closed, are much lower. So I point that towards Sumter, towards Greene, towards Hale, towards Perry County, Autauga County. Once you get down to the Montgomery market, and obviously there's some areas along I-85, closer to Auburn, Lee County, that are in this, as well as Chambers and Randolph. So let's get to it. This is from the National Weather Service, an idea of impact areas. So what does this mean? This tells me, just like the watch and warning map that I just mentioned, everywhere is probably going to have some sort of impact from this, right? Whether it means you don't leave initially out the door, or you have to adjust your plans due to wintry weather, wintry precipitation. But to break that down further, the highest impacts are going to be in that darker blue and then that pink. So starting with the darker blue, this includes areas just north of Tuscaloosa. This includes all of Jefferson County, the northern half of Shelby County, northern half of Talladega County. So Sylacauga, you might be far enough south to not really have issues. Talladega, Pell City, Anniston, Oxford, Gadsden, Heflin, Asheville, Lineville, northern Clay County. There's going to be a very, very sharp, I think, line between the greater impacts to the north and lesser to the south. So you get north of Jasper, north of Ewan, into Marion, Winston, Cullman, Blount, northern St. Clair, Etowah, Cherokee counties, northern Calhoun, northern Cleburne counties. Those are areas where we could have more significant impacts with respect to this wintry precipitation. So let's push this ahead. We're going to show a series of models here. Okay, and you're going to get a takeaway after I show all three, but we'll start here at 1 o'clock. All right. A lot of people have different shifts. If you're a nurse, if you work for the fire department, if you work as a public law enforcement officer, there's all sorts of schedules. So starting at 1, notice our temperatures were above the freezing mark, and we will be at times tonight. So it's a cold rain initially. I'm going to push this forward to 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is when we start to see that switch over to a wintry mix, as you're seeing there in pink, to some snow, which you're seeing in blue, and for some a cold rain. For some it's a freezing rain. The difference between sleet and freezing rain, pretty simple. They get confused a lot, but the difference, sleet is frozen as it falls, okay? It's ice pellets. Freezing rain, it comes down as rain. The freezing part happens when it hits the surface. So freezing rain, it's not frozen as it falls, it freezes on contact with the surface, whether that's shrubs, your lawn, your driveway, the road, okay? From 4 o'clock onward, this is all going to transition over, it looks like, to snow. Okay, there might be a wintry mix in points to the south: Utah, Greensboro, Centerville, Brent, Clanton, Jemison, Thorsby, Rockford, Alexander City. Those areas further south, there might be a mix in there. But 7 o'clock could be high time for wintry precipitation. And this would mean if you're out the door at this time of day, I would plan otherwise. All right? I'm not a road expert, so I don't know what it'll do with our roads. I'll tell you this. We've had several days of cold. Going back to Monday, it was 29. Tuesday it was 26. Wednesday it was 26. This morning it was 22. We've had several nights for the infrastructure to cool. That's your roads, that's your buildings, any other surfaces. So the afternoons aren't offering much of a warm-up. We've been in the 40s all week, some cases the 30s. So our infrastructure's cold. It won't take a lot for accumulations to occur. So let's go 7 o'clock onward to 10 o'clock. Okay, now we have a rain coming back into the picture. Fayette over to McCalla. Alabaster to Talladega, Ashland over to Auburn. Now we're looking at a cold rain. So what the cold rain will do as this transitions over is help to melt what is accumulated at the surface. It won't be instant, but it will help improve conditions. Elsewhere, Haleyville, Hamilton, Cullman, Jasper, Aniana, Gardendale, Pell City, Asheville, Gadsden, Center, Anniston, Heflin, still dealing with the snow. So you're seeing a longer period here for some folks dealing with the wintry weather. That'll mean it takes longer for conditions to improve. I'm going to go from 10 o'clock now to 1 o'clock. Now we see a switch over to all rain, albeit a cold rain, which is not pleasant for anybody to be out in. But what this will do is, if you're in the southern half of central Alabama, you're probably okay by this point because the rain will have been going on for several hours. If you're up in Cullman, in Haleyville, that switchover is not going to instantly get rid of snow or instantly get rid of ice. So there's still going to be issues in that part of central Alabama. But we should see a cold rain for much of the afternoon and evening. There may be a brief switch back over to some snow and a wintry mix, but only in our northernmost counties. And then overnight, the moisture's gone for the most part. We may see a few flurries, but no meaningful accumulation. Okay, so that's kind of the layout of the day with that model. That's the one I'm trusting in most. I'm going to show you two other ones. Same time frame. Again, this depicting widespread rain in a wintry mix. This is by 4 o'clock. So again, the timestamp of the last one, I stopped it at 4, and we were seeing a wintry mix. Same deal here with that wintry mix all over central Alabama. More so rain to the south, though, including Aliceville, Utah, Greensboro, all of Bibb, and Chilton County. But during that switch over from 4 until about 7 or 8, which this blew right through those timestamps, so I'm going to actually go back and manually toggle this through. So I'm going to go now to 7. This is exactly where I stopped the last model look. And again, this is showing me the best coverage for a wintry mix combination, and some accumulations will be taking place around 7 a.m. Let's move this ahead to, again, 10 o'clock. And this, again, showing that switch over to a cold rain for much of central Alabama by 10 a.m., minus areas to the north. You've got a wintry mix. By 1 o'clock, we've got a cold rain just about everywhere. Again, this will actually help. If we weren't seeing any rain after this, what is on the ground would not readily melt at 35 degrees, right? It's just not that far above freezing. But with temperatures above freezing and a cold rain, I think this is going to help out conditions. Again, I'm not a road expert, but that is just my take on it. Move this ahead now to about 5 o'clock, and again, you've got that prolonged cold rain, and then the end of the precipitation, and a few flurries possible during the overnight. All right, so again, those two models showing very close to the same thing. Remember, beginning of the week, we're looking at global models, lower resolution, further out. So there was a big discrepancy. We'll go to one more here. This is at 4 o'clock. Same thing. Wintry mix beginning to take place. That switch over to snow, to sleet, to freezing rain. Accumulations possibly taking place between 4 and 7. And again, the most consistent look at steady snow is to the north of Birmingham. With that wintry mix in between, that's a rain, a sleet, a freezing rain. And then heading towards 10 a.m., you start to transition back over. By 1 o'clock, this model showing that there's more of a wintry mix lasting until 1 o'clock for our northernmost areas. That'd be Marion, Winston, Cullman, Blount, perhaps northern Jefferson, Etowah, and Cherokee counties. Those are going to be areas where you probably have better snow accumulations. If you live down here, you might see the snow. There might be a little bit of an accumulation before the rain moves in, but we won't be seeing high accumulations. Let's move ahead now to about 5 o'clock on Friday. Again, depicting the same as the others, a cold rain. So again, we'll stick with that as the going theme here, is that we will switch over to the rain in the afternoon, and that should help conditions. This is a look at possible ice accumulation numbers, and again, looking at a lot of that taking place. This is 9 o'clock. So if I go back and I move from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, 9:30, that's when a lot of the freezing rain takes place. This would be problematic for travel. Freezing rain is like the worst, all right? It falls, it freezes, and you got travel problems, right? So that would be an issue. But again, this could be mitigated by rain that comes in later in the day. So let's see if we can't get on here. I'm going to switch over and see if I can't get some snow totals to just show you what we could be looking at as far as snowfall totals here. All right, so here's one model run, and this showing the most meaningful snow totals to the north. And then let's see what else we got here. Again, I'm just kind of casually flipping through things I can't do on TV, right? And we're going to switch over to a different product here to get a look, perhaps, at that snow. So this would be coming off of one global model, and once again, looking at the best snow totals. This is probably being a bit aggressive. This model's been aggressive for the majority of the forecasting of this event, but I will pixel query a couple of these to give you an idea. I had people asking Tuscaloosa. I very much think that it's possible that you get a quarter, half an inch, and it will be there for a little while before the rain comes in and has it melting. North of Birmingham, an inch, maybe an inch and a half is possible. Not out of the question, but I'm thinking 1 to 2 inches for many of our central Alabama counties. That seems like a reasonable amount to me, given everything I have looked at. I'll switch on over to what has been the more reliable product here, and I have a lot of people ask about why it's changed so much. And these global models all have their biases. They all tend to lean towards a certain way. There's different algorithms that go into this. And again, this one's showing maybe higher snow totals for a few areas. But again, this would be what falls before it switched back over to rain. So not what's on the ground after it's all said and done. So we'll go to one more look here for you snow fans. And this is the probability of snowfall greater than 1 inch. So again, that line being right at about Birmingham, I-20 to the north, that's our best bet of seeing about an inch of snow. And several inches if you're up near Huntsville. To the south, it very quickly changes. That gradient goes from about a 90% chance to about a 30% chance over a span of like 25 miles. So it's a big drop off over a small stretch. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's an ongoing switch over. But again, what my thinking is we see a cold rain pre-dawn. By 4 o'clock, that switchover takes place from 4 o'clock through about the 7-8 o'clock hours, probably peak time for that coverage of wintry precip, and then we switch back over to a cold rain from southwest to northeast. Of course, we'll be here watching it, but if your plans take you out the door commuting tomorrow at that time of day, I would just plan to have something extra. So that's what I've got for here this morning. Hopefully that makes sense. You can drop questions below, and we'll give you another update here as things unfold. Have a great day, everybody.